world changers or wannabe world changers who think they have to change a billion people, and there's the real world changers who change the world for one person.
To say rejection is not a bad thing. It's the fertilizer for your dreams to grow in.
But if I quit, then I've lied to them and I've lied to myself.
Self-confidence really does come from keeping your word to yourself. Every time that you keep your word to yourself on what you said you were going to do, you build a little bit of self-confidence, right?
I'm David Specht, and this is Keep This in Mind.
It is Thursday. I'm not going to give a date because we say that we're going to get together every week, but we don't get together every week. We just try to get together every week. Omar, welcome to the show today. Reminder to those that are watching, and I know those of you that are watching generally follow us anyway, but I'm David Specht. This is Omar Medrano. We are both life coaches, business coaches, people working in the trenches. We are jack of all trades, jacks of all trades, maybe. How are you today?
Well, we both will do whatever it takes, man. That's what happens. Once you let the ego go, you realize you'll do whatever it takes to succeed.
Absolutely, and we have that mental health disorder called entrepreneurship, because doing just one thing for one person is never enough. And Omar, I want to kind of get into something that may be a touchy subject for some people. I don't know. You and I have some mutual friends that we often see on Facebook and, or whatever social media, actually. And sometimes, we see some changes or see some things that give us pause. And you and I kind of talked about, a friend of ours that we thought, man, I don't know what it is. I haven't seen them in person for a while, but to me, it looks like their health is kind of getting out of whack. And you and I both said, but I'm not telling them, you're not telling them. And so it kind of opened the idea of the discussion of how do we handle it when you obviously see that there's a miss somewhere. And this could be in business, it could be in health, it could be in relationship. How do you approach a situation like that when you know that there's something not right there, but they've not exactly come to you and said, hey, Omar, I need help?
Oh, who's going to ever say, hey, we need help? Our egos will always say we don't. That's not our MO. That's not just us. That's people in general. So what are they going to say? A lot of times people don't have a mirror, whether they have like a 40, 50-pound weight gain. They're like, well, that's not the dryer must keep on shrinking all my clothes 2 or 3 sizes. Putting on your shoes and tying them. You feel like you just ran a 10K and you're out of breath. You can't walk upstairs. So sometimes people just lie to themselves or they pretend they don't know what's going on. It's like people don't realize the holes that are in their business.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're in the trenches, you can't really see above ground level, right? It's
Right.
You've got only what's in front of you. And the same is true in our own, and it's funny, we don't want to disappoint anybody, right? To ask for help for a lot of us is admitting failure. Somehow we're less than. Heck, you're going to laugh, but so I've been doing some, intentional health tracking myself. And I decided to incorporate AI because, AI could say, adjust this, adjust that. Well, some mornings, I don't want to tell AI what my weight on the scale was. I don't want to tell AI how many steps I did yesterday. It's like, and if I don't want to disappoint an artificial intelligence bot, how much more do we not want to disappoint the humans that are close to us?
Well, I wouldn't want to, upset Cyberdyne and Skynet either.
You might, yeah. Arnold's going to show up and go, you must lose weight. You must get into the gym.
Exactly. Exactly. After seeing the original T2000 or whatever, I definitely or, if he's coming after me, I don't want him to say, well, I only walk 3,000 steps a day or whatever.
He pulls the gun out, hasta la vista. But it's true though, right? We do it to ourselves, right? How many times do we like lie to ourselves or at least avoid to ourselves? Maybe it's something like you say, hey, tomorrow morning I'm gonna get up at 5:00 a.m. And then when 6 comes around, you're just like,
we're all Annie. We're all Annie. Tomorrow. It's always tomorrow, especially when things are spiraling and it's something within us, like we know we're out of control when our eating or our spending habits. It's always, well, tomorrow. Let me go for broke today. Let me overspend. Let me overeat. Let me get that large pizza from the bougie place. And it's always like tomorrow, 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 and it's like, okay, Annie, enough is tomorrow. Let's do it right now.
And in business, and I've seen, I have a great example of something like this that just recently happened. So in a company that I help navigate, they desperately need salespeople. I mean, who doesn't, right? But it's been going on and on and on where we haven't had a quality salesperson. And we began to talk about, what if we brought salesperson X back? Somebody who used to work for us, left for, grass is greener, etc. But we hear through the grapevine that, that he or she is not, 100% happy, that, etc. And while the separation was amicable, there were a few hurt feelings involved during the
ex-girlfriend
process.
syndrome.
Yes. But here's the thing. This person needs no ramp up. They need no onboarding. They can just step right in.
The ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. And so I said, well, why don't we reach out to them? And the person who would be their direct supervisor, every time I had the meeting, I'd say, well, how did it go? Or have you, or, I didn't hear, back from you. And they always say, oh, I'm going to do that right after this call. The thing is that they were in their own way. They didn't want to, because they were afraid that because of the way things split, that it would not be a comfortable conversation. But here's what really happened. The phone call conversation lasted an hour and a half. The person the salesperson who may or may not come back was like, man, you don't understand. Y'all are the best people that I've ever worked for. If there's a way we can make it happen, I'm certainly open to it. So because we're so afraid of the discomfort, we can often miss out on an opportunity, or at the very least, get a late start on it. If this had happened 2 months ago, we'd be 2 months further ahead, but it didn't happen 2 months ago. It happened, 5 days ago. So for me, that is the point, that even if we perceive something as being extremely uncomfortable or potentially uncomfortable, sometimes we just have to step through that door anyway, because on the other side, even if it goes wrong, what are you out? You don't have it anyway. And if it goes right, you have the opportunity to really do something and move the needle for yourself.
Well, that discomfort is where the success is. You always have to go through it in any aspect. I mean, just like, I want snacky food at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. Well, that little discomfort, you're not going to die because you're a little hungry. Go to bed, wake up. You'll feel better. You won't be hating. Any conversation, even with a personal relationship, instead of holding off having the important the conversation for the relationship, they'll keep on building resentment and stack on that resentment until what could have been just a normal conversation, all of a sudden it's something really major.
So let's pivot to, as a leader or a boss, you can even be a mid-level manager. When you begin to see these things, right? The uncomfortable conversations that need to be had, the diving into uncomfortable information. Business owners, I can't tell you the number of business owners I'll ask them about, what does your P&L look like? And they said, I haven't looked at a P&L in 3 years. It's like they're afraid of the information. Like if they don't look at it,
It's
then
not there.
it's not there. If I don't go to the doctor, I'm not sick.
Well, the captain of the Titanic, we didn't really hit the iceberg. We're not taking on water, just full speed ahead.
Right. And how do you, and how should I, and maybe I'll have a thought or two about it, but how do we approach those conversations? How do we approach, even as entrepreneurs, the uncomfortable?
By starting, by doing it. It's like the beginning of the conversation with somebody with weight gain. Now, if you come from, it's an uncomfortable conversation amongst friends, associates, whatever. But if you come from a place of being genuine, caring, and you're not judging, you're not, oh man, you look like shit. I mean, holy smokes, I didn't see. If you come from, if you have good intentions, yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. But imagine you're actually possibly saving that person's life. And if it's a muscle. If you keep on, it's like the oncologist. I'm sure the first couple of months of having to tell people that you only have 3 months, 6 months, stage 4. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing it. But after a while, those uncomfortable conversations become a lot easier.
I like what you say there. It's like a muscle. Making cold calls is like a muscle. Everything that really takes effort, you're gonna suck at the first few times you do it.
Anything, even goofy things. I haven't played. I've only played golf a couple of times in my life. But if I went to the driving range or Top Golf, people would be making reels, and it's like, hey, buddy, you spent hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of hours doing this. I wouldn't have an ego.
Yeah.
And plus, I'm a lefty. So back in the day, there was no left-handed golf clubs. I think Phil Mickelson was the first. And he wasn't even a real lefty.
Yeah, and I'm a lefty, and I have to play right because I didn't have left-handed clubs for the most part.
There you go.
I had to learn to play right. So one of the things that came to mind while you were talking, and I think this is the hardest part of uncomfortable conversations, is do not get connected to the reaction. When you have to tell somebody something that they need to hear but may not want to hear, their reaction is not part of the equation. And I think we all, at least I do, put it in part of the equation. We all want to be liked. We don't want to ruffle feathers. But like you said, like the oncologist, if he was always worried about what the reaction of the patient would be, they would never tell anybody that they've only got months to live.
People just drop dead. They'd be in hospice. Like, why didn't you tell me? I had stage 4. Well, I didn't want to be the bearer of bad news. And plus, he saw me on a Monday. Maybe if it's a Friday, give it the corporate. Then we could have given you the bad news on Friday.
Yeah. So, here's another thing, though, and you said it when we were off air. As the person that's having the tough conversation, as the person that's going to bear the less than happy news, the person that has to hold somebody else accountable for something, even if they're doing it in love, has to do it without a sense of judgment. Because that other person is always going to self-judge anyway. Like more times than not, when I've had to talk to somebody about something like that, they were never completely surprised out of left field that it was something. They already knew that they're, usually it was like, oh yeah,
really?
I've been working on it. I've been trying to work on it. I've been, yeah, you're right. And I see the worst in salespeople that way. You go talk to them about it. Like, look, man, your numbers aren't where they need to be, and if this becomes a habit, we're going to have to do so. Yeah, I know. It's been a tough time. Now they may deflect and blame everything else for the lack of performance.
Well, it depends. A great salesperson does not. Now the other person's the victim. Well, the leads are horrible. The other people are getting the A+ leads. I'm not. Everybody's up against me. They're lucky. I'm not. My biorhythms aren't good. I'm in Mercury over retrograde.
If they would just open the Strait of Hormuz, we would have more sales.
Exactly. Dogs and cats would be hanging out together.
The funny part is, Omar, is that this is universal, right? It's just this like human nature is so universal because I could be having the same conversation with somebody in Seattle, Washington, and they'd be like, "Oh man, have you been in my office? Because my people are acting the same way."
People are people. We just use propaganda to try to separate people. People all over the world are the same. Same human needs. There's nobody's different except maybe religion, color, and whether they live in a rural area or a big urban area. But everybody has the same bones. Every industry has lazy people, or victims, or people that will start tomorrow. So you have people, you have your A-listers, your heavy hitters, your great salespeople, your people that are lifers in your company, the people that'll take you from A, B, C, D, and then there's some that are just there for one season to possibly help you move a little.
When when I started in real estate back in January, I remember people saying, "What in the world are you thinking?" And I was like, "It just seems like a natural fit." And the number of people in real estate that have a negative point of view is insane.
Oh, that's in every industry. Because people that suck at something. No, I'm sure the people that we see on all these reality shows, like selling Sunrise, selling Southern Cal, selling New York City, they're not telling you how their jobs are horrible.
No, and it just I found it comical because, like you said, the same excuses I saw in newspaper advertising salespeople is in real estate. Oh my gosh, the rates, the market's horrible because of the rates, or the market's horrible because new construction's coming in and offering all these incentives. The market, yeah. And I keep thinking, but people still need to buy a house. Still, people are still looking to move. Rutherford County is still one of the fastest growing counties in the nation. So people obviously need to move here. They got to move somewhere if they're moving here.
Unless you live in the town that was filmed in Footloose, there's movement in every part of this country. There's still real estate transactions.
Yeah. And so, so that what it tells me, and it gets back to, what you and I do together, with our coaching community, Elevate, the lessons we have, the experience that we have and that we share apply across board. There is no, yes. Could you get a real estate specific coach? Could you get a small business specific coach? Yes. But can I tell you the basic principles that they're going to teach and the basic accountabilities they're going to bring are the same? They're still going to ask you, whether it's your P&L or your lead to close list, or, what is your revenue to your expense? It's all the same across the board.
That's why CEOs of publicly traded corporations, they'll grab anybody from another industry. The person that doesn't understand business always has that knee-jerk reaction. Like thinking the Disney World Corporation is going to hire some guy that was originally a janitor that moved to ticket counter to popcorn. It doesn't work that way, guys.
Yeah, just ask. You remember, was it? I forget the name of the guy. I read the book and watched the movie, but like when Steve Jobs hired the head of Pepsi Cola to come run Apple, because they wanted a greater market share because Gates and the PC had, taken over market share. And he didn't go looking internally to find, the latest kid that came up in Apple. He said, "Oh, I want to go find a proven winner." And that guy came in and did basically the same thing he did at Pepsi. He was just selling computers instead of sodas.
Well, it's like, okay, I was in the business of smoothies for 20 years. Your go-getters are your go-getters. Your home run hitters, your all-star hitters are going to be like that at a very early age. And I knew who was going to be successful and who was going to be struggling 20 years from now. And nobody out of hundreds and hundreds of kids, probably close to 1,000, none of them have proved me wrong. And now when you say bring in like a coach, uh, if that was the case, that's what Pat Riley, or if John Wooden was still alive, yes, they had exceptional players, generational players, but also they're great leaders and great motivators. But not everybody that ever played for UCLA or for the Miami Heat, Lakers, Knicks for Pat Riley became, an all-star.
Well, yeah,
it just doesn't work that way.
No, and I get frustrated, but at the same time, I know that there's, everybody wants to hang the term coach on themselves.
That's like an influencer.
Yeah, and here's the thing that a coach will do that most people won't do. They will have the tough conversation when necessary. And if whoever you watching, you listening, if you've got a coach in your life, or you got somebody calling themselves a coach in your life, and they are not holding you accountable in any way, shape, or form, if they're not making you feel uncomfortable to some degree, then you don't have a coach. You have an expense on the on the balance sheet.
Well, a lot of people want to hire a guru, and it's like, why?
If they just because they sound good from stage doesn't mean they're going to be good at helping you build your business, build your life, build your health, whatever it is. There's so many people, it's easy. AI is going to replace the talking head. Okay. And, I can create an AI guy right now that would give an amazing speech, but it's not going to help anybody build their business. It's not going to help anybody move their health forward. It takes that person that'll be able to look you in the eye and say, "Hey, Omar, look, man, I know you probably don't want to hear this, but unless you're making 50 calls a day on this one business, you don't have a business."
Exactly.
But they won't say that. They'll be like, they'll just rah you right into the poorhouse.
Well, hey, maybe if we have another morning daily meeting, that's going to motivate everybody. That's going to get the numbers up to where they need to be.
Well, and one of the things that again, we're kind of pivoting over to what I want to about Elevate. But one of the things I love about you, Omar, as a coach, because you were my coach, is that you were more than that. You were my connector. You're like, "Well, David, if you're going to do a podcast, you need to have some guests. Let me connect you with some guests from my show. David, if you want to get on a stage, look, this is how I got on a TEDx stage. Being a connector and a coach is the thing that differentiates most. It's self-plug, which differentiates us from everybody else that's out there. Nobody connects you the way we connect people.
Well, no. It's also, though, a lot of times a coach or an influencer, guru, it looks at you like you're a John. Yeah. They just want that money. They just want that credit card number. After that, like, on to the next, or pay more, and then we'll find an answer for you.
Yeah, it's like the cute girl at the Crunch Fitness, right? She'll sit there and take your money every month that rolls, but as far as really caring about where you're going in your health, she could care less.
or we're both members of Crunch.
I know.
But what you get the personal fitness trainer who for the first 10 minutes has you on a treadmill to warm you up,
but then they want to sales pitch you. Oh, this is part of your thing. But if you want the real training,
Exactly.
Oh, how many times have we heard that?
Yeah,
You want the real
it's like a
training.
Ponzi scheme. So you're telling me the $5,000 I gave you? No, the 10,000. No, well, hey, this is
You
good,
want the real.
but
You want.
we need more money.
And so that's I believe again, that's our separator. But then back to the original question, sometimes you have to have tough conversations. And then maybe that tough conversation is saying, you know what, you know what, we're just going to let you have Lane Kiffin. That's just,
Well,
you know, I mean, it's just
but the tough conversations, we grew up, that was our generation.
yeah.
I'll give you a perfect example in your life. It will never happen these days. They would take my mom's money. I was taking guitar lessons, and it was like fourth, fifth, sixth lesson in, and the guy's like, "I don't want to steal your money. You know, we don't want to take your money, but maybe your son, this isn't his calling." And you know, it saved us time, my mom, and it's true.
Yeah.
Oh, but now they'd be like, "No, let's do this for another 5 years. I'll sell you even more one-on-one. We'll sell you a brand new guitar, amplifier, and we'll see possibly if you're good at this." Two things, because you have ulterior motives. It's not selling. Because to me, a sale is when both parties win.
Yeah.
He wins. I'm not winning. And then two, why are you going to give someone false hope? That's
Yeah.
like somebody at Crunch saying, "Hey, keep this up, and you're gonna be Mr. Olympia, just like Arnold in no time."
Yeah. And you know, I don't want it to sound negative because we're not saying negative. We're just pulling the curtain back on the reality of so many industries out there today. And when you have to have those tough conversations, that you're doing the service to that person. When you say, "Hey, maybe, you know, playing guitar is not for your son," you know, you're not living. Now, you know what? In that moment, when the bad news comes to that person receiving it, they have a decision to make. You know, Omar could have said, little Omar could have said, "Well, I'm going to prove him wrong, and I'm just going to, be like Michael Jordan when he got cut from his as a sophomore in high school." Or it may be, okay, then I'll find the thing I love and can be good at. You know, there's a decision, right? And when you have to go to a salesperson and say, "Look, your numbers aren't going to be there, and we may have to make a decision." In that moment, that person can say, "Okay, what are the things I can do to make more sales, to improve what I'm doing, to provide more opportunities and more wins?" Or you can just cower down and go find another job or ride it out till you get fired. But it takes the uncomfortable conversation to move it forward. If you don't have the uncomfortable conversation, you just flounder until the outside forces make your decision for you.
Maybe sometimes too, you're doing them a favor because they're not doing well in your organization by letting them go or by giving them that hard talk. You're giving them the opportunity of finding a place that they thrive, that they excel, that they're rock stars at. That just means you're not good here.
Right.
That doesn't mean you're going to be homeless and
Right.
you know you're worthless.
You know,
this isn't for you.
Yeah, and I know I'm using real estate a lot in this cast, but I look at the real estate industry and I see like there's brokerages that's like a boiler room where all the guys are like, "Hey," and they thrive in that environment. That's not me. I'm the guy who, you know, guides, listens, you know, coaches through the process. And so if you stick me in that environment, I'm going to fail, and I'm going to fail hard, and I'm going to be miserable. But if you stick me in an environment where I'm more of a guide and a leader and a trusted advisor, not to steal from the financial services industry, but if you put me in that role, I thrive and I excel. So it's the same industry. You're just in two different environments that one's not a benefit and one is a benefit to you as the person that's in charge of making things happen.
Exactly. You're not designed, people in general are not designed to be in every single room, every single environment.
When in my newspaper background days, which again, I still own newspapers, we're still pushing them, but you compare us, did y'all ever have like the Thrifty Nickel or the American Classifieds, the little freebie sheet that had like the help wanted and all
that's
that
in every
in it?
market. Yeah.
Yeah. So my sales team, we build out, and it's like you work together, you have base plus commission, blah, blah, blah. We're sitting here to serve the public. Theirs, and I saw it firsthand, was like, if somebody hadn't run an ad in 60 days, they're fair game. So it's like dog eat dog, to get and keep a client. Both publications were successful in their day, but I can tell you, I would not be successful in that dog eat dog environment.
It's not your personality. You have to have that personality. It's like when you gave the two examples. I mean, being a financial advisor many moons ago, I could be in a boardroom. I've cold called so many times in my life that, if somebody wanted to take a shot at me, I mean, I've heard worse.
But like you said, you got to be able to have the tough conversations from a place of non-judgment,
non-judgmental,
and helping somebody see how they can be successful, whether they're in their same environment or if they have to change environments. Some people aren't meant to run a business. They're meant to work for somebody else. Some people aren't meant to be a salesperson, but they're really good at making customer service. We often put people in the wrong seat because they're good in their seat, and we think that we can give them more.
Well, we generalize. It's like we think everybody needs college. Not everybody needs college. Nor should they. That's academia pushing that down the throat. That's like all the gurus saying everybody can be a business owner. Who says that? Not everybody can be a chief. Not everybody can be a leader. Not everybody. My oldest never has wanted to be a leader.
You could be the greatest mechanic in the world and run the worst mechanic shop ever.
Exactly.
Because you're not a business person. You're a great mechanic. And so many people think that the natural direction to success is to climb up that ladder. And sometimes it's finding the step on the ladder that really suits you and just owning it.
Well, mechanic. You think Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr., their mechanic was only making $10 an hour?
Yeah, exactly. So,
or the trainer of all these horses of the Kentucky Derby and whatnot. Yeah, everybody doesn't understand. It's like that saying, plenty of roads, all roads lead to Rome. Not everybody needs an education. Not everybody needs to be a business owner. There's plenty of ways to success and happiness.
Wow. Can you believe we've already gone 30 minutes, Omar? This has been
It's because I love talking to you, Dave.
It's a great discussion. Guys, if you're listening, if you're watching, go to elevatesuccesspath.com. Follow Omar. He's Omar Medrano everywhere. Follow me, David A. Specht. I'm everywhere. Watch Omar's TEDx talk. What is it called? Hold on.
Believe it or not, I've only watched it one time.
Something on the other side of. Oh,
yeah,
crap.
Something like that. I just YouTube it. My name.
Yeah, it's a really good talk, though. He really addresses.
I lived it. That's why.
It's extremely good. And guys, again, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We look forward to the next time. Hopefully it's next week, but hey, if it's not, the world's not going to end either. But I encourage you to continue working towards your dreams, your goals, and guys, have the tough conversations when necessary.
Always.
God bless. Thanks for keeping this in mind today. If something landed, share this with someone who needs it. And if you haven't already, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts. Connect with me at davidaspeck.com, and I'll see you next time. God bless.